is not appropriate is people coming to demand, to say to teachers and principals, show us which children are not documented. And children cannot be part of our political discourse and part of our political contestation. Let's have those conversations and those battles outside of school grounds.
The Gauteng Education Department has admitted it has no money to pay companies that supply it with food for school children. They blame this on the influx of learners into the province.
During the day when usuzamela ukuthi alale edlile njengoba singasebenzi uma engasezi ukuthola at all should nesikole naso siyaphela ngoba abantwana ngeke bavume ukuya esikoleni belambile.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into a deep crisis the government refuses to face. South African schools are under strain, our children are struggling, and politicians keep pointing fingers while passing the buck. We'll break down comments from the Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwarube, who insists that schools must remain safe spaces, not arenas for political agendas. We'll also examine what Operation Dudula is doing to prioritize South African children, and why the Gauteng Department of Education's own reports show that they don't even have enough money to feed our kids anymore. By the end of this video, you'll see why prioritizing South African children is not xenophobia. It's common sense, patriotism, and survival. Let's get into it.
Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwarube says schools must remain safe spaces for pupils and not arenas for political debates. This as Operation Dudula takes its fight against illegal migration to schools.
The issue around illegal immigration is one that the country must grapple with, but it cannot happen inside our schools. If people want to have a conversation about illegal immigration with the Department of Basic Education, the headquarters of DBE are situated in Pretoria. So is the Gauteng Department of Education, and so is Home Affairs. And so let's have the conversations where it's appropriate. Where it is not appropriate is people coming to demand, to say to teachers and principals, show us which children are not documented. The warnings have been that in January, people are going to prevent children from coming to school. It's a slippery slope. We know that there are millions of South African children, some of whom are not documented themselves. So where do we draw the line? And so for me, my obligation is simply to children. And children cannot be part of our political discourse and part of our political contestation. Let's have those conversations and those battles outside of school grounds. And let's at least make sure that schools are places of learning and places of safety. Over and above that, the Constitution is clear on the Department of Education about the fact that any child who's of compulsory school-going age should be allowed to access basic education.
The Gauteng Education Department has admitted it has no money to pay companies that supply it with food for school children. They blame this on the influx of learners into the province. The admission is contained in a letter the department's acting director for the National School Nutrition Programme, Busisiwe Mahlangu, wrote to service providers. Our SABC News reporter Kelvin Dudullah has the latest update on this. Kelvin, this is a very difficult story to be speaking about right now. No food for learners? Tell us more.
Good morning to you and to our SABC viewers at home. Eliane, this has caused a panic, especially to most parents here in Gauteng. We are in Soweto now, Orlando West, to be specific. We have been engaging with some of the parents who are concerned about this, saying that their only hope was that at least their kids will be able to get something to eat at school because they are struggling at home. Most of them are saying that they are not working, they are unemployed. So they had hoped that government will assist them because they know that when kids are at school, at least they will get meals in the morning and during the day. But now, if the Department of Education in this province of Gauteng is struggling to pay service providers, that might lead to the food being cut off. But let me introduce, because of time, one of the parents. Good morning to you and to our SABC viewers at home. To you, and do you know now that the Department of Education in this province of Gauteng is struggling to pay service providers? Kusho ukuthini kini lokhu njengabazali?
Bese sizwile ngakho asiphathekanga kahle kakhulu ngoba kuzokwenza ukuthi abantwana bagcine belwa ezikoleni. Sinenkinga vele ukuthi abantwana bayalwa manje kuwesike masebelambile njengoba besho bethi indlala ibanga ulaka kuzotholakala sebelimazana bazokulawuleka. Sinenkinga nje impela siphathekanga kahle kakhulu.
Ucabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe yini okumemele yenziwe ke manje ke njengoba uDepartment of Education la eGauteng uthi unenkinga yemali akakwazi ukukhokhela manje ama service providers ukuthi kudliwe ezikoleni, yini ocabanga ukuthi kumele yenziwe?
Mina ngokucabanga kwami abathathene emalini yasemajele, ibudget yasejele. Abantu abasemajele bangena emajele bazi ukuthi benzani, yibo kufanele bayiprovide ngegross kusizwe labantwana abanganacala ngoba ayikho into esizoyenza nathi asisebenzi.
Anisebenzi manje ninethemba lokuthi mhlawumbe ingane ziyaqhubeka nokudla esikoleni. Nganihlukumeza kanjani nina uma kungathiwa kuze kufike isikhathi sokuthi kunqanyulwe ukudla ezikoleni ngenxa yokuthi umnyango wezemfundo ukhala ngokuthi kunezingane eziningi eseyibuya ngaphandle kwesifundazwe eyinenkinga yokuthi ke manje zigcwele and manje abasakwazi ukuyihlinzeka ngokudla? Lokhu kunganihlukumeza kanjani?
Kungahlukumeza impela ngoba sithembele kuba ukuthi mayephuma ekseni umntwana uyazi uzofika adle ekseni aphinde adle during the day. Wena usuzobe usuzamela ukuthi alale edlile njengoba singasebenzi. Uma engasezi ukuthola at all should nesikole naso siyaphela ngoba abantwana ngeke bavume ukuya esikoleni belambile.
Okay, sibonga kakhulu ngesikhathi sakho.
Thank
you very much. One of the parents engaging with SABC News about this issue. Yesterday, I had an engagement with Matakanye from School Governing Bodies Association, also saying the same thing, saying that no, government must go, the Department of Education in Gauteng must go to Treasury and ask for money, because it will be highly impossible for kids to study with the empty stomach, as this lady here, a parent, saying that kids will struggle at school. They will even struggle to concentrate, Leanne, because as I have mentioned earlier in my introduction, most parents, especially here where I am in Soweto, are unemployed, are not working. So it will be difficult for them to give the kids money to go and buy something at school, and it's difficult even for them at home to have food, to put food in the table. So you would imagine that the kids will struggle.
So let's start with Siviwe Gwarube. She says illegal immigration is a problem the country must tackle, but not inside our schools. She points out that if people want to discuss immigration, they should go to the Department of Basic Education headquarters in Pretoria or to Home Affairs, not schools, not classrooms, not playgrounds. Operation Dudula has warned that in January they will be preventing children without proper documentation from attending our public schools. Gwarube calls this a slippery slope. Millions of South Africans are reportedly undocumented themselves, so according to her, where do we draw the line? Her main argument is schools must remain safe and focused on learning. Now, let's look at the reality on the ground. The Gauteng Department of Education recently admitted that it can no longer pay food suppliers for school meals because of the influx of learners. Parents, many unemployed, had hoped that at least their children would get a meal at school. Now that hope is vanishing. Think about that. On one hand, the minister says schools must be safe, no political debates, no targeting of illegal learners. On the other hand, her departments can't even feed South African children because the system is overstretched. This is where you'd expect common sense to kick in. Minister Gwarube talks about her obligation to children, but which children exactly? Because the way that we see it, South African children must come first, not undocumented children, not foreign children. Our own kids have to come first. Ashley Saul's analogy from yesterday comes to mind. Imagine all your extended family moving into your house without permission. They sleep in your kids' beds, eat your food, take your space. Eventually, your own children are left with nothing. Would any parents allow that? Of course not. Yet that's exactly what's happening in our schools when resources are stretched, budgets fail, there's corruption, and illegal learners fill the gaps. The Constitution Section 27 says everyone has a right to access public education, but it also says that rights must be progressively realized within available resources. That means we can't be giving unlimited access when we cannot even meet the demands of our own citizens. Operation Dudula is stepping in because the government refuses to act. They are trying to protect South African children, not to attack foreigners, not to create chaos, but to ensure that our children get their rightful education and meals. Meanwhile, politicians blame them, call them thugs, or suggest that they're breaking the law. But when citizens act because the government fails, who really is failing here? The facts are clear. Corruption, mismanagement, and budget failures mean our children suffer. When the government ignores protests, ignores letters, and ignores calls to action, the citizens are left to fill the gaps. The minister may be right when she says schools should be places of learning, not battlegrounds for politics. But the reality is, what are the people left with when the very government refuses to act? Operation Dudula isn't perfect. There may be mistakes, but their intent is simple. Protect our children when the government refuses to do so. And until the Department of Education, Home Affairs, and national leaders actually act, citizens have no choice but to step in. And that's the bottom line. South African children come first. The Constitution allows for rights, but rights are not unconditional. Progressive realization means we take care of our own first. Yes, we do love Africa, we support African unity, but that unity cannot come at the expense of our children's survival, education, and future. Operation Dudula is forcing a reality the government refuses to face, and until politicians wake up, citizens will have to protect their own. This is not xenophobia, this is logic, this is patriotism, this is survival. Watch the video on your left to see Ashley Souls breaking down the true meaning of Section 27 of our Constitution. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Until next time.